Hi, this is Anne from Music Discoveries. Are you ready for a mini lesson today? This one is on my elementary harp solo called Aine's Dream. When I released the sheet music, I received a few requests from people. Some people were wondering if it would work well on a small harp. Some people were wondering if I would consider composing a more advanced version. Now, I think that both of these issues can be dealt with by looking at left-hand patterns. So that's what we're going to do today. So whether you're an elementary player or more advanced, this mini lesson will be good for you. So the reason that Aine's Dream is an elementary level is because I've only used 4 different left-hand patterns in this piece, and I've put them together in a way that's very comfortable to coordinate. So we will look at those 4 left-hand patterns, of course, so you start to recognize them. What I want you to think about is, do you remember when you were little looking up at the night sky and learning how to identify constellations of stars? I remember learning how to find the Big Dipper, right? You'd look for that bright north star and then learn to find the shape of the Big Dipper. So I want you to start to think of the left hand as locating different constellations or patterns. So in Aine's Dream, the first pattern that you see will be called a 1-5 pattern. So a C-1-5 pattern would have C on the bottom. That's your North Star. I'm going to count that as number 1. Count the strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5th string is a G. So I would call this a 1-5 pattern. And you'll find these played in a solid form, or we could call that a blocked 1-5 or an interval of a 5th. And later in the piece, I take the 1-5 pattern and you'll see the notes played one at a time. Okay, so that's pattern number 1. Another pattern that you'll find here, very common on the harp, is a 1-5-8. So we'll use that C. C is the North Star again. G is string number 5. 6, 7, 8 is another C, and I'm doing that with my finger 4, my ring finger, pointer finger, and thumb. So that's my 1, 5, 8. Now this piece is in 4/4 time, and the rhythms are very steady for you. So we'll just be counting it 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your second pattern. Another pattern that you will see in this piece is a 1-3-5, also called a triad. And so that the 1 is my C still. C is still my North Star. 3 is E. And 5 is my G. This one you'll be seeing as 2 1/8 notes and a dotted half. So we'll count it 1 and 2, 3, 4. And the 4th pattern that you'll find in the piece is a 1-5-8-9-10. And for those of you who are at an elementary level, this might be the first time that you see this pattern. So when I put it in the music, I made sure that it was nice and slow, just slow, steady quarter notes. But you'll set up your 1-5-8 the same way that you did a moment ago. But you'll learn how to cross your finger 2 under to the 9, and then your thumb comes up for the 10. Here's that 1-5-8-9-10 one more time. 1-5-8-9-10. And those are the 4 patterns that show up in this piece. Let's actually look at the first section called section A. The A section of the piece is the first 2 lines. So we'll look at this, and what I would suggest that you do as you start to learn the piece is to go through and identify and just find those patterns on your harp. You don't even have to play them. Just give them a little squeeze and think about how you're moving from pattern to pattern. If you are in the habit of writing in letter names, I'm going to challenge you to do much less of that here. So in measure 1, my bottom note, that's the North Star. That's the only note I really need to read. That's the A. This is an A-1-5 pattern. And I know it's a 1-5 pattern because 1-5s always go line, skip a line, line, All right, so that's an A15 pattern. Now in the next measure, I can see that I'm just moving it down. I don't really need to know that the bottom note is a G. I need to know that I'm moving down one set of strings. By the way, 1/5s are also space, skip a space, space. In the third measure, it just comes back to the A. We're back to home base. Now, if you need to write in any letter names, I would say this is the only one you should write in. In measure 4, you're coming up to a D 1/5 pattern. That D is one note higher than middle C. Okay, so make sure that your middle C is very close to that finger 3. And then you come home to A. Now, if you're learning this piece, that would be your first step, is just to identify those patterns, find them on your harp, give them a little squeeze. And I would do that a couple times. Once you know your patterns, then play and count. Let's do that together now. I hope you have your harp. So go find your A15, 1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4, down to G. 1, 2, 3, 4, back to A. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to D for 2 beats, and back to A for 2 beats. Okay? So that's how I would work on this piece, is to go through section by section, identify your patterns, find them on your harp so you know how you're moving through them. And then as a bonus challenge, here's what I would suggest that you do. Go find the performance video, which I'll just put right up here in the cards, and see if you can play the left hand along with me as I play the entire song. Now, shall we do one more line like that, just to give you some insight on how to approach each section as you're learning? So let's go on to measure 5, and I say, oh, that's another A15 pattern, and it moves down to the G pattern again. Then in measure 7, we have something new. The North Star is the bottom note. That's a D. This one is the 1-5-8 pattern on D. So you should have D, A, and D. And then in the final measure, we're moving down, all the way down to another 1-5-8, but this time on A. Now, for those of you on small harps, here's the first time that you're running into some real estate issues. You might not have that A. So here, if you know that the North Star is A, if you know that your pattern is A, and you just want to adapt it to something that will suit your harp, your smaller harp, well, you could just say, well, how about we'll go to an A1-3-5 pattern instead. Just move it up an octave. So those last 2 measures, the original sounds like this. And the original goes down to the low A1-5-8. Small harp players, you can do this. Go up and do an A triad. Easy. Now when you go and do the B section, the next 2 lines of the piece, you will see a lot of 1-5-8s. And so I would say any of the 1-5-8s that don't fit on a small harp, just move them up an octave and turn them into 1-3-5s. Let's take a look. So at measure 9 in the B section, you can do that 1-5-8, no problem. But you might not be able to do the low A. So turn it into a middle A, 1-3-5. You might not have the G either, so G, 1-3-5. But you do have the D, so do that one as written. Okay, you see how that's going to work? While we're on the topic of arranging for small harps, one other issue. If we flip over to the second page on section C at measure 25, oh, well, first of all, we see the 1-5 pattern is back, but in broken form, right? I told you that was going to happen. And then to D. Now in the next measure, there's your first 1-5-8-9-10, but it's low. So if you have a big harp, awesome. Play it down low and it's going to sound amazing. If you have a small harp, you might think, oh, well, I'll just adapt that pattern. But you might realize that, well, it's going to crash into your right hand. I really want you to keep the 1, 5, 8, 9, 10. So what I'm going to suggest for section C is move both hands up an octave. That's another strategy if you're on a small harp, is to just move both hands up an octave sometimes if that's appropriate. So at section C, instead of it sounding like this, with the low 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, from measure 25, you're going to play it up an octave, both hands, why not? And now you can have your 1, 5, 8, 9, 10, but it will just be higher, okay? And I would keep that up an octave for both of those lines, okay? Now, if you are a more advanced player and you would like to level up this arrangement, then here are my suggestions for you. So at the very beginning of the song, from the A section, well, you know, I like the simplicity of those simple fifths in the left hand. And you might decide that you want to keep it just like that because you like the character and the sound. Or you might decide that you want something that sounds a little fuller and richer. If that's what you want, I would suggest going for a low 1, 5, 10 rolled. So it could turn into this. And then a 1, 5, 10 rolled on G. That's really nice, isn't it? And now another 1, 5, 10 rolled. The second level up, if you're a more advanced player, is you could add some notes to the right hand when the right hand is playing half notes. You could just do intervals of thirds. So instead of an F and an E, like it is written in the music, you could do interval of a third and then step down your interval of a third. So I'd have... If you want a little bit more level up, if you're a bit more advanced, you can let the right hand do a full triad rolled. So I'd have, instead of F, E, well, I'll have my F down a third, but my bottom note is going to need to be an A. So you're going to need a little bit of theory to pull this off, like this. If you choose a B, that doesn't sound right, does it? So the reason why you need the A is because this is a D triad, and the A is in the D triad. There, that sounds really nice. And then we're going to an A pattern, so you can have an A rolled triad. Doesn't that sound good? And then I'll do a little bit more. Here's the second line with 1, 5, 10s rolled. Ooh, you might like a little 1, 5, 8, 9, 10 in the left hand. 1, 5, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so you can definitely dress up the left hand just by using fancier left hand patterns. Over in section A1 on the second page, you can see that I've already given the elementary version a little bit more movement by using the eighth notes in the left hand. So your leveled up version probably also wants a bit more movement. And so here's a pattern suggestion for you. This is my favorite grown-up left hand pattern. It's a 1, 5, 10, 8, 12. 1, 5, 10, 8, 12. And so that would be a really nice pattern here in section A1. And then the rolled. And the 1, 5, 10, 8, 12 keeps the overall tempo and pulse a little slower, doesn't it? It makes it a bit more grand. So it affects the character of the piece. So I hope those ideas are helpful to you. So those of you who are elementary players, learn how to identify patterns like you're identifying constellations in the sky, and use those to help you read more fluently and with more accuracy. For those of you who are at an an intermediate level, use your patterns to help you memorize faster and to learn how to adapt and change the music to suit your harp, first of all, and your level and your own personal creativity. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.